So over the weekend, a friend of mine that goes by NES Addict on YouTube, Jay, made a video that really intrigued me. He actually made a video about NES games that he had beat. And in the opening of the video, he talked about how when he was a kid, he wasn't really good enough to beat any NES games, so that's why it's so cool now as an adult. He's gone back and beaten a lot of games and some really hard ones. So it got me to thinking that, you know, we have a pretty similar story. I'm not exactly the same as Jay. I was able to beat some games when I was a kid and growing up, so it's not the exact story, but I was by no means good. So it's interesting to look back and look at all the really crazy games that as a kid, I only imagined I'd be actually able to beat them. So today, I'm going to be taking a look at NES games that I have beat. So to start off, this may be a very cool video for some. It may actually be not that cool for others. It depends. If you follow me on my Facebook account, MichaelBtheGameGenie, or you follow me on my Instagram account, the wonders of modern technology have allowed me to have a portable camera at all times. I mean, when we're kids, we can only imagine. You'd see the images inside Nintendo Power of people taking the pictures of their high score, and it was actually a really complicated process of getting those developed to send into Nintendo Power, but you know, we're living in a modern era. At any point, you can take out your phone and take a quick picture and post it immediately. So thanks to that device, I've been able to actually completely record my journey going along. And as we talk about the games I beat today, I'll be posting the pics that I took there, along with my little diatribes or stories of how I beat the game or why I beat the game. That is all except for 3 games. And these are the games that I actually beat either as a kid or growing up. So I'm just going to show those games to you really quickly, and then we'll get to the meat of the potato after that. So first up is the only game I really beat as a kid, and I only did it 2 players playing with somebody else, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. This was a very popular game for me and my friends. I was the only one who had it, and I seemed to become very popular after I got it. I spent a lot of days inside with all my friends wanting to come over to the house and play it with me. So, Turtles 2, the arcade game. The next 2 probably aren't going to be surprises, but I beat Super Mario Brothers. I didn't do this as a kid. I did this in my late teens, and it's the one NES game that for some reason always worked on my NES, because I didn't really understand cleaning back then. So I'd always pop it out and try to get through it. And last but not least, I didn't do this until I was 20, so I call it growing up. You could call it as an adult. But I never beat this game originally when it was on the NES. I have since beaten it again on a standard NES, but the first time I ever beat it was actually on the GameCube, and it was part of the Legend of Zelda Master Collection or whatever, the silver GameCube game that came with Wind Waker. No, it didn't come with Wind Waker if you pre-ordered it. I don't know. It was some kind of send-in to Nintendo Power or something like that. Nintendo Power points. So the silver Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition disc. Anyways, Legend of Zelda. Yeah, so those are the 3 games that I don't have pictures of. So, where to start? Let's start with one of the weird and wacky ones, and a really hard one, actually. So the first one is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street is a game that I only rented as a kid a couple times. I'm a huge horror fan, so it's a game that I always wanted to finish. I just didn't think I ever would. Because when I was a kid, and when I always played it, I didn't really understand the way the dream powers worked, so it just seemed impossible. Your character was so floaty, the attacks did nothing. It seemed like it was an impossible game to beat. That is, until we decided we were going to do the Nightmare on Elm Street Halloween Challenge video that I do every year with, I used to do every year with my buddies, Weekend Game Guy and Mr. Dude 206. And leading up to it, I actually practiced a little bit for it, which I don't usually do. I actually practiced a little bit before it, and my buddy Weekend Game Guy was telling me about how good he was at it. And he actually explained the dream powers to me, which was kind of his undoing, because I ended up winning that competition and absolutely decimating the competition. I got way farther than both of them got. So yeah, anyways, I didn't beat that game that time, but it was like a week later. I just kept trying and trying and trying. I went back and actually beat Freddy Krueger for the first time. I've done it again since, and I've actually found out that you can use the dream powers more to your advantage, so I find this game a lot easier to get through now as opposed to the first time I beat it. The first time I beat it, it was still a miracle. And another one that I finished for kind of the same reason, Friday the 13th. This one wasn't because of the challenge video, because I still didn't really understand how to play this. This I actually beat after watching my good friend Matt Ezra, probably said that wrong, but Cygnus Destroyer, you know him better as the LJN Defender. He actually did a LJN Defender video on Friday the 13th and kind of explained some tips and tricks on how to beat the game. I followed his pattern, and after a lot of trial and error, found out how to actually beat the game. And since then, I've actually found out another couple tips and tricks that I didn't know back then. It's made the game even easier. This game gets a really bad rep, so bad I actually went out of my way to actually review it and talk about how cool a game it is. Definitely give it a try. And another one that, as a kid, I never thought I'd beat. In fact, I'm sorry to beleaguer this, make it longer than it needs to be. As a kid, I actually rented this game for an entire summer with the intention of beating it, and I could get nowhere, so this one was probably one of my biggest priorities as an adult to actually go back and beat. And up there, this is a fun story. I beat Jekyll and Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And, yeah, this is the exact same story again. I watched a Innocent Until Proven Guilty by Matt, the LJN Defender, and he explained kind of how to play the game, and I said, sure, I'll give it a try. So I sat down one night, first time I ever really played it, and with the intention of just trying the tricks that he tried. Lo and behold, 4 hours later, because the game has infinite continues, I beat Jekyll and Hyde the first time I ever played it. So how about that? Everybody says it's an extremely hard game, which if you don't know how to play, I guess it is, but I beat it the first time I played it. This is one I'm extremely excited to share that I beat, because this was actually my first ever video game I ever got. And as a kid, even though it's not that hard a game, I found it extremely hard. I could get past the first level, but I really couldn't get much farther than that. So as an adult, it was imperative that I went back and beat Super Mario Bros. 2 on the NES. In fact, I actually did this on my birthday, and I got the game for my birthday, so nice symmetry there. Also, this game has probably one of the best ending musics you'll ever hear. Ever. Seriously. It's amazing. So, I'm gonna knock 6 off in one go here, because I've beaten every single one of the Mega Man games. Every single one. Yep, all 6. All 6 of the NES games. I still haven't beaten Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo, or Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation, because I don't really like it. And I haven't beaten Mega Man 9 and 10 yet, but I fully intend to go back and do it. Anyways, what happened was, I did this video called New Year's Gaming Resolutions, and I asked a bunch of other YouTubers to come out and talk about which gaming resolution they wanted to make in the upcoming year, something they wanted to go and do. And one of the contributors actually said he was going to finish all the Mega Man games. And I said, So I completely forgot my gaming resolution of going back and beating Earthbound, and I decided to take up the mantle on his. I had beaten Mega Man 2 already, and I kind of beat Mega Man 3 with a GameGenie before, so I didn't really consider that to count. So the only game in the series I'd beaten was Mega Man 2. I went back, and I beat Mega Man 2 again, and then I went and beat Mega Man 3 and said, you know what, the heck with it, let's just finish all of them. So I did. I beat all 6 Mega Man games. For me, definitely the hardest was Mega Man 1. I had a lot of trouble with Mega Man 1, especially that boss rush at the end, and then fighting the devil. Like, without the start trick on the NES, I'm sure people can do it. I'm not good enough, so I had to cheat to do it with the start trick, but yeah, I beat Mega Man 1. And honestly, all the games were pretty easy after that. The next one I found hardest was the boss fight in Mega Man 5 with Dr. Wily, just because I never had beat or knew who he was. So another 2 games right off the go. I have beaten Castlevania, and I went back after that, and I beat Castlevania 2. So the thing here is I got really addicted to the Angry Video Game Nerd episodes on Castlevania, and I just made it a priority, the same as him. Like, I wanted that experience of beating Dracula. As a kid, I was the shits at these games. I could get nowhere, so it was so exciting to be able to go back and beat Castlevania. Castlevania 1 was very frustrating. Did it on real hardware, had a lot of trouble with it, so it resulted in 2 straight days of my NES pretty much being on and me just playing non-stop. So I beat Castlevania. Castlevania 2, less hard. I sat down one day and just went through it. I mean, other than what's confusing, and if you have Nintendo Power or the internet, it's not that hard. So I beat both those games. I haven't beat Castlevania 3 because I don't know. It's not that it's difficult. For some reason, I just can't get into that one. And everybody says it's the best one. I don't know. I just can't get into it. So another LJN game, I have actually beaten Jaws. Jaws is a fun game. Doesn't get enough credit. It's a very unique little game, and one I'm excited to have put away. Smile, you son of a... I'm not going to say it. Vice Project Doom. What an awesome game. There's also another similarity you'll see here as I'm going through them. You'll notice a lot of the games, especially the NES games, I've reviewed. Pretty much every single one except G.I. Joe. I've also beaten. So Vice Project Doom. Awesome game. I did a review on it. If you've never played Vice Project Doom, it's on my top 10 NES Hidden Gems list as well. Awesome game. Like I just said, games I reviewed. I've beat Gun-Knack on the NES. And this is actually a unique one because I'm terrible at shooters, and Gun-Knack is the only shooter I've ever beaten. How about that? Kickmaster. Fun story about Kickmaster. It sells for like almost $100 here in Canada now. I paid 50 cents for it at this random flea market that no one ever goes to. I went to one day and never has games. Lo and behold, a woman had 2 games on her counter. I had one of them. She sold me the other one for 50 cents. Kickmaster. This game has a password system, which makes it a lot easier than it seems. It seems really hard, but if you can use the password system, it's, you know, a breeze to get through, and I don't consider that cheating. Some might. I don't. Guerrilla War. This is another game I beat the first time I ever played it. Guerrilla War is really easy. So if you just want to knock a game off your list, play Guerrilla War. Prisoners of War. I never owned this game as a kid. I rented it to death. I love Prisoners of War, and I'm so excited. So excited I beat this game. I beat it for a review. Sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This is a really easy game. I don't know why. Always intimidated me. I used to play and die really early, and I thought the game was really long, until I just sat down one day and powered through it, so I beat Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This is actually a fun story. I've never really ever played Little Mermaid before, but my niece actually used to come over all the time, and she loved the fact I played games, and I always told her I'd beat a game for her. So she picked Little Mermaid one day, and sure enough, yeah, we sat down and we played through the entire game, so I beat Little Mermaid for her. This game was frustrating to me, but I had to play through it, and I had to beat it because I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan, and I wanted to beat all the Legend of Zelda games. So at some point, I was going to have to do Zelda 2. Zelda 2 is really, really hard at times. You've got to level up, go get those P-bags, build up all your stuff. It's really hard. The last fight is really hard unless you use the really cheap trick, which I did to beat the game. But I beat Zelda 2. DuckTales. Of course I beat DuckTales. You guys have seen me do it on a Game & Watch with Michael B. So, yeah, you've seen me beat DuckTales. That's no surprise. This is one of the ones I haven't been able to beat until recently, but I finally managed to beat Bucky OHare. You know, it's an amazing game. It was #1 for my top 10 NES Hidden Gems. Really fun game. Really hard. Took a lot of practice, but not that much practice. I mean, realistically, I had a point that I was stuck at. Once I got past that and really understood how to play the game, within like a couple hours later, I beat it. It wasn't that hard. So, yeah, once you get used to it, the way it plays, I mean, if you're playing lots of NES run and gun, this one should be a breeze for you guys. Back to the Future. I love this game. I reviewed it, but I didn't beat it when I reviewed it. I only went back to beat it afterwards because Jason from, Arthur X Jason's, the YouTube channel, he had this thing from Multitap where basically they had a wall of Back to the Future beaters. It was like almost like a badge of honor. And I'm the shits at games, so I don't consider myself to be very good, but, you know, he just kept hounding me and harassing me, so I finally decided I was going to beat Back to the Future, and I did this one on Game & Watch with Michael B as well, so you can go back and see the video footage. Another game I beat on Game & Watch with Michael B, Batman! Yeah, I watched the video for James and Mike Mondays and watched them actually play through it and beat it, and decided I had to do it, so I went through and, you know, I got all the way to the Joker. First time I played, I was surprised I could get to the end of the game. Made it all the way to the Joker, and then honestly played it for like 7 straight hours, and just couldn't beat him. And I ended up having to go out. When I came back, my NES had shut off, and I was ready to, you know, destroy everything. But I went back, tried it again, and on my second attempt, I managed to do it. I beat the Joker. Then I went back and did it again on an episode of Game & Watch with Michael B. So I beat the Joker multiple times. The game isn't very hard until you get to the Joker, and then the Joker is just so erratic. Like, anybody that says they've got the pattern down, kudos to you, sir, because honestly, knowing what to do, I still couldn't do it. I still found it was just, you know, fluke that I beat him. So, yeah, Joker's really friggin' hard. This one warms my heart so much. As a kid, I've rented Metroid quite a few times, and I've tried to go back and play it, especially after I fell in love with Super Metroid, and I just, for some reason, couldn't fully get into it. I don't know why. Like, it's just, it seems so off. But I forced myself to go through it and play through it bit by bit, and I had a lot of fun. I basically had a Sunday to myself, and I sat down and played the game completely through. I had my Nintendo Player's Guide next to me, the original, that showed me some hints and tricks, and I beat Metroid. And I never have to play it again. It's so basic. I'd rather just play Super Metroid. It's still a good game, but I'd rather play Super Metroid. Monster in My Pocket. I have done a Game & Watch with Michael B on Monster in My Pocket, where I didn't beat the game. I got right to the end and couldn't beat it. It was one of the first times I ever played it, so I didn't really understand the play. Made it right to the end the first time I tried, because it's a pretty easy game, pretty short, but I died. So then, like, I think it was like 2 nights later, I decided that I was frustrated by my failed attempt for the episode, went back and played it again, and of course beat it my first try after that. So, yeah, I beat Monster in My Pocket. Excellent, excellent game. Another review game, another hard-to-find, expensive game, unfortunately, but another review game and a fun one. Mighty Final Fight. Yeah, I beat Mighty Final Fight. All the Final Fight games are awesome. I find them pretty easy, and except for the Sega CD Final Fight, I've never been able to beat, but pretty much you run right through them. Mighty Final Fight's a little tougher, but it's not that tough. It's by no means no Double Dragon. And of course, that's where we're gonna stop here, because the last NES game that I've finally been able to conquer, get over the hurdle, was in fact the original Double Dragon. I've been playing this game since I was a kid, I owned it as a kid, and I never imagined I'd be able to beat it. Where I always got stuck was at the Abobo stage, you know, on stage 3 where you come across the 2 Abobos that come out of the wall. I would always beat them and then have like no life left, and then not understand that you had to go into the cave, one of the holes they left, and I would just keep walking to the right. And if you know anything, you know that the stage just keeps scrolling, so I just thought, you know, what a difficulty jump, because you'd make it right to that point without losing a life, and then all of a sudden stage 3 was an unending nightmare. Just I was stupid and didn't know how to play. So I finally got past that. You go through a cave stage, which is pretty hard, and then the next stage is, you know, some pretty difficult platforming, but yeah, I finally beat Double Dragon, and I actually did this one live. One of the first ever streams I did on YouTube. I streamed me beating Double Dragon, and that was a pretty exciting moment for me. I think I almost jumped out of my chair. If I didn't leave a hole in the wall from punching it in excitement, I'd be very surprised. And not that I do that regularly, just, you know. Anyways, I beat Double Dragon. So guys, those are all the NES games I've beaten to this point. I want to thank Jay, NES Addict, for, you know, coming up with the idea for this video. It was a cool idea. He actually tagged someone. It wasn't me, but I said the hell with it, wanted to do it anyways. So, yeah, really cool idea. I'll leave a link to his video down underneath, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And, you know, I'd really like to hear from you. What NES games have you beaten? It doesn't just have to be, you know, the normal ones, like Super Mario Brothers, you know, some of the games I talked about, especially some of the really weird and difficult ones. That's what I'm interested in. So, guys, let me know in the comments, what games you've beaten, and feel free to make your own video and send it along to me so I can watch it. That'd be fun, too. I haven't been tagged, so I don't feel obligated that I have to tag anybody, so I'm not going to do that. I just want to hear back from you and hopefully see some videos and see some other people do this, because it's a really cool video and cool thing to share in the community, I guess. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go edit this video, and who knows, maybe I'll try to beat another NES game.